Hey ratbags, it's Jade. Today giving in a progress report on Smalland. It's just had an update that adds a ton of great stuff to the game. You can now build your base in anywhere in the world. It doesn't have to be in a tree, but you still get protection, just like it was in a tree. They've had a huge amount of new improvements as well, like being able to craft from storage and more. But they are having a mini review bomb. Admittedly, it's not hundreds, because not hundreds of people have actually bought this game on PC at least anyway. But they are nearly having just as many negative reviews due to this latest update than positive. Why? Because they've introduced time-based crafting. This is all just really weird. When Smalland went out of early access into 1.0 back in February, I gave it a pretty negative review. I've been hyped up about this game for years. I was one of the first tubers to cover it way back when, in like 2018. Yes, it's that old. It goes actually before Grounded. It was announced as a new game and then pretty much got swapped over developers and then actually made into something that would arrive rather than the amateur developers that just didn't have a clue what they were doing. Merge come in, bought the idea and IP, got rid of the people beforehand and made it themselves. I've done an interview with the devs, I was friendly with them, I gave behind the scenes feedback and tried out a bunch of different builds of the game. And I was there pretty much every update during early access, promoting and showing off all the content, because I thought it had a good chance of being a great game. Then 1.0 came out and it ended up just being nah. It was undercooked and they were rushing through it, from what I could tell, just so they could get the console version out to make some money. So I did upset the console kids, because as much as I rep console, obviously they don't have as much survival games to play, and so anything new is always going to be good, giving them a bit more choice. And this was something that a lot of people have been looking forward to. So I just pointed out some stuff, that what the game is, what it hasn't got, and why I was disappointed it hadn't achieved its full potential. I got some blowback, and maybe I could have been a little bit less harsh, but genuinely, and I saw this from the reviews as soon as it had launched on Steam, a lot of people agreed with me that they thought there was going to be more added to it for the 1.0 release. The 1.0 announcement came out of nowhere, and the stuff that was going in it was kind of like great, but where's the rest? Are we not getting some other features? And a lot of that did get announced that would come, and that's why people are now pissed off. Not hundreds of people are leaving reviews, but it's dropped down to 66% with positive review score, from 85%, so that's a big drop, nearly 20% in the last 30 days via all time. And I'm guessing they're getting it in the neck on other social media, maybe Discord, from console kids, because they have now put a statement out of saying that they are going to add some stuff to the time-based crafting, which seems to have pissed everyone off. Improved workbenches, improved crafting, station progression, improved crafting, immersion, time-based crafting. They've added local storage and basic crafting, so now you can craft directly from your storage, no longer having to have all the items on you. Something Grounded has done for years now, and a lot of other survival games are pretty much trying to make it the standard. So great news, great stuff. They've got new improved build UI menus, even better. And if you want to build in cubes, you can do so and make these sort of storage boxes. Another good feature is that they've gone and added the ability to make your base out of trees. Put this down and yeah, pretty much you can build anywhere now and have the same sort of protection as your tree base. I do believe there's not many official servers for Smalland. It's all privately run, like you can rent one out and stuff. So this makes sense to keep people not getting trolled or janked. But it is the time-based crafting. Pretty much now it takes 10 minutes to go ahead and craft a bunch of different gear or items. Or if you're making components out resources, a few minutes. Who's asking for that? Like, what player has ever said, do you know what, I love time sinks, can you not make it that I can craft something immediately and let me take about 5 minutes to do something simple? Take a look at the review scores. Admittedly, it's only 8 reviews versus 4 positive, but you get the idea. They've had mostly good reviews up until 1.0, and even after 1.0 they've definitely had a lot more good reviews than bad. When they did release though in 1.0, you can kind of see it was a little bit short there. There were quite a few negative reviews saying pretty much a lot of the same stuff I've said. That it felt a bit undercooked, a bit rushed. It didn't seem to make sense why they were releasing into 1.0 if they're going to be changing a whole bunch of systems afterwards. So maybe review bombing is a bit much considering it's only 8 reviews. But I still think that paints a picture. It is also bringing down their actual review score a ton. Their all-time score is 85%, which is pretty decent. But that was like 88 at one point. And yeah, out of the last 30 days, only 66% of the 100 user reviews are positive. That's a massive drop of 20% nearly. And it does all seem to be about this time-based crafting. So fair play again, they've addressed the issue straight away and said they're working on solutions, give control over crafting time. You'll be able to help with the reduction settings to vanilla crafting times, increases, and you could even turn it all off together. So that's been worked on though, it's currently not there at the moment. And it is just a bit baffling. I did pretty much just dump this game once I did my review. I had planned to cover it with more up-to-date fresh guides and maybe a let's play, but I just didn't want to invest a bunch of time into something when I felt like it wasn't ready. And it might have been 1.0, but I had a bunch of other games that I was covering at the time, like Nightingale, Enshrouded, Sons of the Forest and more. So versus them games that were all relatively good in my opinion, versus something that was releasing rushed and early, I just didn't really see the benefit in me doing lots of new guides. Even though that's what I wanted to do originally, especially with all the console people buying it. I can only really cover games I actually believe in, and if I see games maybe not doing what they should, then I don't really want to necessarily waste my time. Not unless I can guarantee they're actually doing what they've said. So fair play. This isn't a hate video, this is just a progress report, I guess. I was harsh in my review, but only because I want them to fulfill their potential. I think underneath it all, Smalland could be a great game instead of just a okay, good game. But it's just super weird adding a time-based crafting system. It feels like it's padding the game out because the game is relatively light on content when you boil it down. It's just a relatively simple premise of a game, and I'm guessing players have absolutely raced through it, hence why they decided to go ahead and put sort of this crafting system in where it might take time. I just can't see why you would change that now and why you would do that after 1.0. If anything, it's usually the other way round. Normally you got games that have got crafting time in it and people want them removed. So like, who was sitting there saying, you know what, Merge, do me a favour, can you add a minute to cook up some resources for me please? I really want to take 2 minutes making up this armour and I might have to come back in 10 minutes once it's made all my armour set. Like, no one was asking for this. It's a very strange move to put it in and at least not have the vision that maybe people wouldn't be happy with it. And it is just odd. Merge got bought out by a separate company a while ago, pretty much halfway through Smalland's development, and I did kind of notice that things were maybe not the same. So when early access arrived, I was just glad that it finally made it, and it was mostly there. It needed work for sure, but I did think it was going to come good and it could be a really worthy addition. But yeah, the investment company seems to have cut back on a lot of things as well. Been looking at their stock market shares after someone sent me some info and it doesn't look like they're doing well. So for whatever reason, they decided to release it in 1.0, maybe to get some good review scores before adding in maybe more convoluted systems that might get them negative reviews, or simply just to get it out so they can meet their financial goals. Either way, I don't think it's working out for them. I was also pretty amazed to see that they'd invested money into a VR version of the game. Now I know a lot of games can inject VR pretty much, don't ask me how, but I've seen a lot of mods do this with games that are out there at the moment. But this just seemed really odd timing. Like straight after your 1.0 release, you've maybe not sold billions of copies, but you've already got a VR game coming out. This must have took some development time away from the actual full game. Even if they had a completely separate team, okay, fine. But it was just a bit odd. Like, it looks terrible as well, I'm not going to lie. I'm not a big fan of VR, it makes me chunder. But I've definitely seen other gameplay and bits of trailers, and what I'm seeing here, it just looks really, really janky. But that's just what I'm seeing. Maybe you've played the VR version on MetaQuest. Is it any good? Let me know in the comments section. Definitely want the shields though. Where's the shields for everyone else in the normal game? Let me know what you think about the crafting system. I wish I could say I'm going to give it a try and I can show you guys some stuff from it. But honestly, I just haven't got the heart to boot it up. I'm certainly not going to do it now where I'm going to have to wait maybe 10 minutes to craft something. Even with some of the good stuff that they've mentioned, it's still probably just a little bit too early for me to return. I think once they've got their second part of their roadmap up with the taming changes, that might be something I look into. And on the horizon, they have said they're going to have cross-platform multiplayer and maybe some sort of expansion. End of the day, 1.0 can often mean nothing but a number. But in this case, they did it in 1.0 so they could basically get the console versions out and done. even if they weren't really ready. And that to me was just a bit scuzzy. I want this game to get good. I want to play it. I want to cover it again. I did have some fun with it. So yeah, once this taming overhaul comes in June, I think I'll try and revisit it then. So until next time, Ratbags, just another little progress report on Smalland.